Before we begin this story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It helps us bring you more incredible true stories like this one. This is the face of a young man who called himself Lyle Stevik. His real identity, carefully hidden in his final days, became a mystery police said could never be solved. But 20 years later, strangers on the internet proved them wrong. September 17th, 2001, the first Monday after one of America's darkest hours, every television screen, every newspaper, still drowning in images from the towers. While the nation mourned together, something else was unfolding in silence. In a tiny motel tucked away in Amanda Park, Washington, a place so remote it barely existed on most maps, the Lake Quinault Inn. Business had been dead all weekend. The housekeeper had only one room to check that morning, room number 5. She'd knocked before, yesterday, the day before. Always the same result. Silence. Heavy, unnerving silence. Maybe he'd left without paying. Maybe he'd already checked out. Either way, she had a job to do, so she knocked again. Nothing. She waited. Knocked harder. Still nothing. Finally, she pulled out her key, twisted the lock, and pushed the door open. What she saw inside would haunt her forever. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our next video. This video discusses sensitive topics, including mental health and self-harm. Some details have been omitted out of respect. If you or someone you know is struggling, please reach out. Visit findahelpline.com for free. Confidential support anywhere in the world. The guest hadn't left. He wouldn't be leaving at all. She found him beneath the coat rack, lifeless, cold. The housekeeper ran, called the manager. Within minutes, police were on their way. Officer Lane Humans arrived first. He'd stay with this case for the next 17 years. Even when everyone else gave up, Humans never stopped looking for answers. The body showed rigor mortis. Lividity had set in. The medical examiner estimated he'd been dead 8 to 12 hours. Overnight, alone. The room itself felt wrong. Too clean, too organized, like someone had prepared it. The TV was off, lights still on. Bed untouched, covers perfectly smooth. No food wrappers, no trash, just eerie stillness. But there were strange details. A bedspread draped over the window, blocking out the world. 6 fresh towels scattered around the room. He'd requested them the day before. Why? On the nightstand sat 8 crisp $20 bills, $160, freshly withdrawn, perfectly arranged, like payment for something. Next to the money, a comment card, handwritten. For the room, an empty Pepsi cup, a newspaper from the day before, and one more thing, a crumpled piece of paper, one word written in careful block letters. The handwriting on the motel registration had been rushed, sloppy. But this word was deliberate, precise, like a final statement. Police theorized he'd written it to explain what happened, then changed his mind, threw it away, decided the scene would speak for itself. The name on the registration form read Lyle Stevik, address 1019 South Progress Avenue, Meridian, Idaho. But there was no ID in the room to confirm it. When investigators checked the address, they found something disturbing. It wasn't a home. It was a Best Western hotel, hundreds of miles away. Staff there had never heard of anyone named Lyle Stevik. The address was fake, which meant the name probably was too. If you're finding this mystery as gripping as we did, smash that like button and share this video. let's bring more attention to these unsolved cases. Everything about this man screamed intention. He'd erased himself, methodically, carefully, like he never wanted to be found. His belongings told them nothing. No wallet, no keys, no phone, just the clothes on his back, an unopened toothbrush, a tube of toothpaste, not even a bag to carry anything in, $2.40 in change on the table, $8 in his pocket, a pen. No signs of a struggle, no head trauma. The cause was clear, but everything else remained a void. Who was this man? Where did he come from? Why did he choose this place to disappear? With no clues, investigators turned to the body itself. At first glance, Lyle looked ordinary. Average height, average build, nothing that made him stand out in a crowd. But the small details revealed more. His nails were trimmed and clean. His teeth showed excellent dental care. His dark brown hair, neatly combed back, had been cut recently, maybe within the month. No tattoos, no piercings, no birthmarks, just a few scrapes on his knuckles and an old appendectomy scar. Toxicology came back clean. No drugs, no alcohol, no medications, no chronic illnesses. By every measure, Lyle appeared healthy, normal, put together, but beneath that surface, something darker lurked. At 6'2", Lyle weighed only 130 pounds, severely underweight. His belt showed wear on the last notch. He'd been losing weight gradually, for months, maybe years. His skin showed no sagging, no loose folds. The weight loss had been slow, steady. Officer Humans suspected depression. The medical examiner found nothing physically wrong. The weight loss was psychological. This man had been suffering, silently, for a long time. Still, none of this revealed his identity. He did have one unusual feature: attached earlobes, a relatively rare genetic trait. Instead of hanging free, his earlobes connected directly to the sides of his head. But it wasn't enough. Most people wouldn't even notice. His clothes were just as anonymous. A gray Fruit of the Loom t-shirt, Levi's jeans, black Timberland boots, a blue plaid shirt tossed over a chair. Generic, unremarkable, chosen deliberately to blend in, or just coincidence. Either way, physical evidence had hit a wall. So investigators looked at his behavior, his interactions, his final days. The motel manager remembered him as polite but distant. Didn't talk much, seemed spacey, nothing alarming. The desk clerk had a different impression. She said he gave off bad vibes, made her uncomfortable, nervous. She also recalled something important: a slight Canadian accent. Maybe he was from Canada, or had spent significant time there. He never used the phone. No one called for him. None of the officers recognized his face. He wasn't local, that much was certain. But where was he from? The timeline of his final days offered the clearest picture of his intentions. Before we continue with Lyle's final days, take a moment to subscribe if you haven't already. These stories need to be told, and your support makes that possible. He arrived Friday, September 14th at 4:30 p.m., either by bus from Port Angeles or Aberdeen. Both arrived at the same time. Neither driver remembered him. At that time, security cameras were rare, especially in remote places like Amanda Park. There was no footage of his arrival. At the front desk, he filled out the registration form, paid cash for one night, no ID. But he looked fine, so they gave him room 8. 1 hour later, he came back, irritated, visibly annoyed. Room 8 was next to a noisy trailer park. He couldn't handle the noise. They moved him to room 5, quieter, more isolated. When asked if he'd showered in the first room, Lyle lied, said no. Why lie about that? Saturday morning, September 15th. The housekeeper knocked to clean his room. No answer. She assumed he'd left since he'd only paid for one night. But when she entered, there he was, still there. He asked to extend his stay a few more days, then refused cleaning service. Instead, he requested fresh towels, 6 of them. The innkeeper brought them, wondering what he needed so many for. Later that day, the manager saw him pacing the highway, up and down, up and down. There was a grocery store nearby, but he didn't go in, just walking, thinking. Some guests noticed him sitting quietly on the porch outside his room. Sunday, September 16th, Lyle bought a copy of the local newspaper, The Daily World, found later in his room. Again, he extended his stay. Again, he refused cleaning service. Then Monday, September 17th, his body was discovered. Officer Humans reflected on those final hours. He didn't do it right away. He spent days thinking, analyzing, maybe reading about the towers, the attacks, the chaos, confirming his decision. Investigators drew 3 conclusions. 1, he was hiding his identity, deliberately, discarding personal items, IDs, anything traceable. 2, he came from a comfortable background, middle to upper class. His appearance, his dental work, his grooming all suggested it. 3, he planned this for a long time, every detail calculated, even paying for the room in advance, so no one would feel cheated. Humans believed Lyle traveled far from home to spare his family the burden of finding him. Most people in this situation stay close to home, their car, somewhere familiar, but not Lyle. He went hundreds of miles away, to a place where no one knew his name. This wasn't a typical case. Usually families search for missing loved ones. But here, the situation was reversed. They'd found a man. They knew what he looked like. They had his fingerprints, his DNA. But they didn't know his name. Was anyone even looking for him? Searches for Lyle Stevik turned up nothing. There was a Lyle Stevik with a C in Oregon. But that man was alive and well. No Lyles matched. Posters went up around Washington. Sketches were distributed to local tribes, newspapers, communities. His case was sent to law enforcement in California, Oregon, Idaho. His fingerprints were submitted to the FBI twice. Nobody came forward. It was as if Lyle Stevik never existed. Eventually, all leads dried up. The case went cold. Lyle was buried in a local cemetery, unmarked, anonymous. It seemed like his real name would stay a mystery forever, until the internet decided otherwise. At first, Lyle's case barely registered online. He was mentioned in forums, threads about other missing persons, but never the focus. Then slowly, people started paying attention. Curiosity grew. Obsession followed. One of those people was Lindsay Searer. Online, she went by the username Urbex. Her involvement would change everything. For Lindsay, it wasn't just a case. It was an obsession. From a young age, she'd helped her mother, a professional genealogist, organize records and research family trees. She loved data, patterns, puzzles. As an adult, she channeled that passion into solving cold cases online. She joined a subreddit dedicated to identifying the Grateful Doe, a young man killed in a car accident while following the Grateful Dead in 1995. For 20 years, no one knew his name. In 2015, the community identified him, brought him home to his family. Lindsay joined late in that investigation, but she learned something crucial: community power, social media reach, public pressure. These things worked. During one of her deep dives, she found Lyle's case. Something about it stuck with her. She later said, "Something always brought me back to him. So many clues, yet they all led nowhere." In 2016, Lindsay created the Lyle Stevik subreddit. At first, it was quiet, but slowly members started appearing. Theories formed, discussions deepened. Eventually, Lindsay reached out to Officer Humans, now Deputy Coroner. He was thrilled. Finally, someone cared enough to help. He answered questions, clarified details, shared case files. Collaborations like this were rare, but it gave the Reddit community exactly what they needed: a solid foundation. And almost immediately, theories exploded. If you're still with us, thank you. Hit that subscribe button and like this video to support our work. Let's keep these stories alive. One of the biggest theories involved the September 11th attacks. Lyle died 1 week after the towers fell. For some, the timing felt too deliberate, too suspicious. Buying a newspaper, pacing the highway, refusing service. It seemed like he was waiting for something. News, confirmation, closure. Maybe he lost someone in the attacks. The grief became unbearable. So he made his decision. But others disagreed. The official victim list hadn't been released yet. Without contacting someone directly, there was no way for Lyle to confirm casualties. Some theories went darker. What if Lyle was involved in the attacks himself? Humans sent reports to the FBI. They never responded. Online, people pointed to his Canadian accent, his possible Middle Eastern heritage. In their minds, it fit. Religious theories also emerged. What if Lyle was shunned by a cult? Some noticed the fake address he used was 5 minutes from the Church of the Harvest in Idaho. Coincidence? Others suggested connections to the Amish, the Children of God cult, or the FLDS. In every theory, the theme was the same. Lyle had been cut off, isolated, abandoned. Another theory suggested law enforcement ties. Was he fleeing a crime, a hit and run, gang involvement, or was he in witness protection? Maybe he'd been dropped from the program, left vulnerable, alone. Despite conflicting theories, the community stayed united. They all wanted the same thing: bring Lyle home. One member visited his grave at Fernhill Cemetery in Aberdeen. There was no headstone, no marker, nothing. Even in death, Lyle remained invisible. The Redditor later wrote, "I spent a few minutes there. I told Lyle how many people care about him, just in case he can hear." While there, they discovered something interesting. Lyle's body had been exhumed for DNA testing a few years earlier. Slowly, scattered online discussions became organized action. Meetings were scheduled, projects launched, updates posted across multiple subreddits. They even coined a verb for their work: liling. Media outlets began covering the story. Lindsay did interviews on podcasts, radio shows, websites. Suddenly, Lyle's case wasn't just niche, it was everywhere. Working with law enforcement, Redditors used the Freedom of Information Act to obtain autopsy reports, case files, public records. They collaborated with third-party experts, gathered data, analyzed evidence, and with new tips flooding in, police officially reactivated the case. Deputy Sergeant Brad Johansson took over. He maintained regular contact with the Reddit community throughout the investigation. Lindsay shared theories, questions, ruled out cases. Johansson gave updates whenever he could. Lindsay organized a GoFundMe to commission an age regression photo. What might Lyle have looked like as a teenager? The community funded it. The artist delivered. When they saw it, everyone felt something shift. For the first time, they saw Lyle alive, even if it was just imagined. One user said it looked exactly how they'd always pictured him. In some strange way, the community felt like they knew him. Law enforcement also approved isotope testing. This test analyzes elements in hair and bone to reveal environmental exposure. The results showed two key things. 1. Lyle had been traveling extensively before his death. 2. He spent his childhood in various parts of the U.S., but not the Pacific Northwest. These findings didn't identify him, but they ruled out hundreds of missing persons cases. By now, the community had eliminated over 800 possibilities, but progress was painfully slow. Internet trolls wasted time with fake tips. Old cases had to be revisited. Document requests took months. Still, the community persevered. Many felt personally connected to Lyle. They'd faced similar darkness, similar crossroads, but they'd survived. Working on this case became a way to process their own trauma, to offer kindness to a stranger who maybe didn't receive enough when he was alive. One Redditor explained it perfectly. "I think people are so invested in Lyle because his final moments, his most vulnerable moments, are there for us to see. It's a light born from a very dark event." Throughout it all, Lindsay kept the community hopeful. She wrote, "Keep your chins up. We'll find him. Someone somewhere misses him. There has to be someone. It can't just be us." The investigation also explored the name, Lyle, left behind. Stevik, Slavik, or Serbian origins, rare in the US. In 2010, only 479 people had that last name. Did Lyle take it from fiction? Researchers found a character named Lyle Stevik in Joyce Carol Oates' 1987 novel. You Must Remember This. The character was a furniture store owner drowning in misery, falsely accused of being a communist, struggling with dark thoughts. But unlike real Lyle, the fictional character finds new purpose, builds a bomb shelter, keeps living. Real Lyle didn't find that purpose. Oates herself commented on the case. Very strange. What was going through his mind as he wrote each letter? Then came the striped shirt guy lead. A Redditor found a photo of traveling performers on Facebook. One man looked eerily like Lyle. Same facial structure, same rare ear shape. He was believed to be part of Circus Chimera, a traveling performance troupe. That lifestyle matched the isotope results. Extensive travel, multiple locations, but inconsistencies were hard to ignore. Different skin tone, different build, sharper nose. Lindsay contacted a former circus worker. Striped shirt guy was alive and well. Dead end. But the circus worker helped spread Lyle's information online. A new ally gained. Next came a mysterious user, Dav Throwaway, or D. They claimed to be Lyle's brother-in-law. According to D, Lyle was 28 years old, struggled with mental health, had family in South Africa, the UK, and the US. The shocking twist? D claimed Lyle's family knew about his death the whole time, but one relative refused to let them come forward. Life insurance fraud? The post was detailed, yet vague. It felt real. But something was off. Why post on Reddit instead of contacting police? Why refuse to provide proof? The community split. Supporters believed him. Skeptics called him a troll. Time would reveal the truth. After over a year of dead ends, the community knew traditional methods had reached their limit. It was time to try something radical. DNA genealogy. The idea had been discussed before. The community was ready to fund it. But funding wasn't the only barrier. Lindsay explained, "The problem isn't funds. The problem is getting law enforcement to release DNA samples. Most commercial testing companies like 23andMe only accept saliva samples, not blood or hair." That option wasn't possible with Lyle. Even with crowdfunding, 2 obstacles remained. 1. Getting law enforcement approval. 2. Finding a lab that could process the samples. By this point, the group had spent over a year on the case. Real progress had been made, but not enough. The lack of new information was bringing everything to a standstill. If you've made it this far, you're part of this journey too. Subscribe and like to help us keep sharing these stories. Determined to push forward, Lindsay took a leap of faith. In 2017, she contacted Colleen Fitzpatrick, forensic genealogist, co-founder of the DNA Doe Project. The DNA Doe Project was a nonprofit known for solving cold cases through investigative genetic genealogy. They'd solved cases like Buckskin Girl, Belle in the Well, Joseph Newton Chandler III. They used cutting-edge DNA technology, databases like GED Match, Family Tree DNA, connecting the missing with their families. The Doe Project was exactly what Lyle's case needed. Now the only obstacle left was privacy laws preventing access to DNA samples. Lindsay, on behalf of the Reddit community, worked with Colleen to get law enforcement on board. Their efforts paid off. Officer Humans, now county coroner, personally gave them the green light. But there was another concern. What if Lyle's DNA samples were too degraded? If they didn't pass quality control, the process couldn't move forward. If they passed, they were good to go. And just like before, the community waited. But this time, the anticipation was different, mixed with disbelief. After years of roadblocks, members couldn't believe it might actually happen. One grateful member wrote, "This is exceptionally good news. Thank you for never losing focus." Colleen replied, "It's because people like you cared enough to reach out." A week later, February 9th, 2018, the announcement came. Lyle's DNA passed quality control, viable for analysis. The lab could now begin DNA sequencing. DNA sequencing reads the exact genetic code in DNA, converts biological information into digital data. Each person has a unique code. Relatives share similar segments. Unrelated people look entirely different. Sequencing had to be thorough, precise. Even minor errors could lead to false results. It would take weeks. And significant funding. Funding the Redditors delivered out of their own pockets. The goal was met on February 10th, one day after the announcement. They'd exceeded it. The Doe Project expressed heartfelt thanks. On February 23rd, the first phase of DNA sequencing officially began. Now came the hardest part, waiting again. With weeks ahead, the community couldn't help but wonder, what would Lyle's DNA reveal? Famous relatives, connections to other cases, a completely different background than anyone imagined? One member said, "Ironically, we may learn things about him that he never even knew." More than 3 weeks later, March 12th, the lab finished DNA sequencing. No complications. One step remained: sending results to the bioinformatics team, building his family tree with GED Match. Another week or two of waiting. With the truth almost within reach, excitement grew, but a lingering doubt filled every discussion. When the Doe Project had Lyle's identity, would they share it with Reddit? The Doe Project addressed it. "We'll share what we can as we can." Most members were understanding. At the end of the day, they just wanted Lyle's family to have closure. By April 23rd, the Doe Project started contacting people matching Lyle's DNA. Most matches clustered around New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, Montana. It didn't mean Lyle lived there. His immediate family could have migrated anywhere. Investigative genetic genealogy is time-consuming, a multi-layered puzzle. Each match had to be analyzed. Hidden factors could appear at any moment. What if Lyle's family avoided DNA testing? What if there was a complication in the DNA? What if a close match knew nothing about him? It required painstaking research and sometimes a bit of luck. To illustrate the challenge, the Doe Project sifted through one man in Lyle's family tree who had 88 grandchildren. Each one had to be verified. They spent an entire night on just that one branch. Then, May 9th, 2018, 3 months after the DNA Doe Project took the case, Lindsay received an email from Detective Brad Johansson. She opened it, half expecting a routine update. It wasn't. It had finally happened. Lyle had been positively identified. The DNA Doe Project posted a press release. Lyle Stevik identified after 16 and a half years. A close match led them to a man in California. From there, investigators followed the trail. It led to a family who provided fingerprints from old belongings. Belongings from a son they'd lost contact with years ago. Perfect match. The parents never filed a missing persons report. They always believed he was out there somewhere, living the life he wanted. Without them, Lyle's family expressed gratitude to the community. They finally knew what happened, but they requested one thing: no information be made public, including Lyle's real name. After almost 2 decades, Lyle Stevik, 25 years old at the time of his death, was finally home. California, where he grew up. Longtime followers could hardly believe it. Many thanked Lindsay and the mods for their tireless work. Without them, Lyle's family might never have found closure, but part of the community was upset, disappointed. They wanted to see a picture of him alive, know his real name. The curiosity was hard to let go. A very small minority even tried to find the information on their own, attempted to share it against the family's wishes. Out of respect for Lyle and his family, we'll continue calling him by the name he left us. We ask everyone watching to do the same. Please don't share any information about him or his family in the comments. Thank you. What we can tell you is this: Lyle Stevik was not a terrorist, not part of a cult. The Redditor who claimed to be his brother-in-law was a troll, lying for attention. Lyle Stevik was simply a person, like any of us. Most Redditors were just grateful he was going home. After all, the goal was never to know his name. It was to notify his family, give them closure. One commenter wrote, "This is about giving the people who knew him answers. It isn't about our curiosity." Another said, "I have a sister I haven't spoken to in 15 years. How crazy must it be to believe someone is alive, only to find out they've been gone for 17 years, and that strangers around the world tried to bring them home." Welcome home, Lyle. Deputy Sergeant Brad Johansson served as liaison between the Reddit community and Lyle's parents. Both parents were overwhelmed but grateful. Officer Humans volunteered to accept letters from the community to give to the family. The community stayed dedicated, and in the end, it was a meaningful journey for many members. Initially, there were plans to keep the subreddit active, spotlight other missing persons cases, but the mods decided it wasn't appropriate. The Lyle Stevik alias was forever tied to the sub. Eventually, they decided to keep it active, but locked. A memorial, a record of what they accomplished together. If you want to help unidentified victims claim their identity and give families closure, you can. Upload your DNA to GEDmatch. Share missing persons cases online. Support organizations like the DNA Doe Project. They're currently funding the identification of 9 does, including Metcalfe County Jane Doe. In January 2021, a logger in Center, Kentucky found skeletal remains. A woman, Caucasian, wearing a Hollister jacket, leggings with rhinestones, a butterfly on the pocket, coins found nearby, including tokens from a casino in Japan, sunglasses, a Bible, a pink cancer awareness NFL blanket, estimated age 44 to 86, height 5'1" to 5'7". She's still waiting to go home. If you appreciate the stories we tell, consider liking this video and subscribing. It's the best way to help us keep making content like this. Up next, watch our video about the mysterious disappearance of the $30 million jackpot winner and how the internet cracked the case by luring the suspect online. Click now to watch.